is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Time now is 4:27 on your Tuesday morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Meredith Barrick.
And I'm Nicole Griffin. A story we are tracking this morning, 10 Point Coalition is marking 1 year with no homicides in a community on the far east side. This is near 42nd and Post.
Yeah, they marked this milestone with community leaders and the Attorney General's office. They are hoping this will now happen in other communities that have seen a lot of violence in the recent years. They are saying this marks a day of progress, and they hope that they are able to reach more milestones in this neighborhood when it comes to a lack of violence.
Yeah, this has been a neighborhood we've covered heavily about the violence there, so a good mark for them. Another story we are following, an investigation is underway after a man was killed in a house fire in Elwood.
Yeah, this actually happened in an apartment complex, and police are still trying to determine what caused that fire. They went into that burning building and unfortunately found that 59-year-old man's body, so they are working to figure out what exactly happened there on South B Street. Todd Clausen joining us now with a check at our weather. Yesterday wasn't too terrible. Some rain later in the day if you live here in downtown, and we're going to see kind of the same thing today.
It's basically the same thing, just these isolated downpours that'll come through. They'll put down a heavy amount of rain, and then they just kind of move on. But there's a lot of dry hours mixed in as well. So there are some downpours outside right now. You see them to the north near Muncie and Anderson, some more down to the south. And by far our biggest concern here, not only today, but in the days ahead, will continue to be the potential for flooding here across the area. It's very warm. It's very muggy this morning. 70 in Muncie, 68 right now in Indianapolis, and Kokomo at 67. A little bit of patchy fog this morning as well, and then what we just talked about, warm and humid conditions today, up to 82 degrees with more of these downpours moving through. Not too concerned with the threat of severe weather today, but again, it's the flash flooding that could be an issue with some of these downpours. That's why at the top of your screen there you see a flash flood watch for most of the area here throughout the day today, and that's probably going to continue throughout much of the week.
And we cannot stress enough that when flash flooding situations like that could happen today, you can't drive in those. Don't walk through them.
And you know, and especially too when you're driving at night, right? And it's not bright, especially in some of the outlying areas. Just slow your speeds down, because if you encounter even a little bit of standing water and you're going at high rates of speed, you're going to hydroplane. You're going to all sorts of bad things can happen. So yeah, if you've had a lot of rain in your neighborhood, you certainly have to slow down.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Todd. And it is going to be raining a lot this week, but that won't stop people from being outdoors. Our Alyssa Donovan is looking into keeping your family safe during tick season. If you're someone who frequents wooded areas, maybe if you're going camping, this is a story you must see. That's coming up on Good Morning Indiana.
This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
A tornado tears through Beech Grove, but neighbors did not hear tornado sirens until 40 minutes after the storm passed by. Working for you, we're looking into the reason behind the delay.
Plus, community leaders on the city's far east side are celebrating a milestone, who they say is responsible for the good news. It's 4:30 on your Tuesday morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Meredith Barrick.
And I'm Nicole Griffin. Elena Martella in this morning. Of course, keeping a close eye on the roads for your morning commute, but we want to start first with Storm Team 6's meteorologist Todd Clausen. Todd, not a great weather week.
Yeah, you know, it's just more of the same. I think we probably target Friday as the day here that probably has the lowest percentage of seeing some showers, and that's not even completely zero. So as you get going here on this Tuesday morning, already we're dealing with some of these downpours. They're kind of just lingering, I guess you could say, throughout the overnight hours. And look at this heavy rainfall near Muncie, back towards Anderson. No lightning, so this is purely just heavy rain that we're going to be dealing with here throughout the day today in spots. This just drifted off to the east of Morris Reservoir, Noblesville, up State Road 37 there. That downpour is heading towards LaPel, and then as we slide down to the south, this is where we've had some big-time issues with flooding occurring in the Seymour area, and you can see there's some downpours there as well. So throughout the morning commute, most of you are probably dry. That's the good news, with just warm and muggy conditions and a little bit of patchy fog, but some of you are going to be hitting these downpours, and that'll just be a theme throughout the day today. As you see, a lot of unsettled weather to our south. There's more storms off to our west. There's just a front lingering in the area. And then especially as we get into the peak heating of the day, just like yesterday, we didn't have much in the way of rainfall throughout the day. Then we hit that peak heating and boom, we flare up these downpours across the area. Temperatures right now are in the 60s to 70 degrees in Muncie, 68 in Indianapolis. Is very uncomfortable with all that humidity around. And throughout the day today, be prepared for a downpour at any point throughout the day today. So have that umbrella handy, with high temperatures eventually climbing into the upper 70s and into the low 80s. The time now is 4:32. Let's get a first look at the roads on this Tuesday. Here's Elena. Good morning.
Good morning, Todd. So the good news is no major problems out there on the roads right now. Coming in from this northwest side, heading southbound on I-65 from I-865 down to I-70. It should take you about 17 minutes, so everything's moving along just fine right now. Let's take a look at the roads. Here's a look over at 465 Michigan Road up on the north side. Actually looks like a lot of people are out there for this hour. Let's take a turn down to the south side, I-65 at I-465. No problems out there right now. Coming up in the next 20 minutes, I'll point out an interstate closure you're going to want to pay attention to.
Elena, thank you. Breaking overnight, Metro Police are searching for the suspect in an early morning shooting. Police say someone called 911 around 1:30 this morning after hearing gunfire at the Deer Cross Apartments. That's near 38th Street and Eagle Creek Parkway on the northwest side. Officers say a man in his 40s was shot several times, but they expect him to survive. This morning, detectives say they have many different descriptions on the getaway car that left the scene.
We all know that sound. Outdoor tornado sirens are supposed to help warn us of severe weather. But on Saturday, after a tornado ripped through Beech Grove, the tornado sirens didn't go off until much later, nearly 40 minutes after the storm, to be exact.
Many of you reached out to RTV6 on social media to look into this critical safety concern.
Call 6 Investigates Paris Lubell went searching for answers in light of the problem.
It came in the blink of an eye.
Just about to walk out the door and to go to dinner.
Severe storms hitting Beech Grove on Saturday.
It's like, the weather is kind of picking up a little bit, and then I watched a tree get split in half.
A tornado touching down, ripping through an apartment building, Beech Grove High School, and a steel warehouse.
We were inside watching TV and got up, and I could hear a loud vacuum sound coming through all the vents. Well, my ears popped, and then we heard a loud boom, which we found out was the roof that had lifted up and smacked back down.
The National Weather Service saying the first tornado in EF1 touchdown at 7:26 p.m.
We weren't prepared. I mean, usually you hear something, the siren or something.
The National Weather Service issuing a tornado warning at 7:34 p.m. Minutes later, a second tornado, an EF0 touchdown in Beech Grove as well.
So you didn't hear any sort of siren before or anything?
No, nothing.
A few minutes later, the storm quickly moved out of the area, and the National Weather Service canceled the tornado warning just 13 minutes after it was issued, saying the tornadic thunderstorm which prompted the warning has moved out of the warned area.
We got really lucky.
But then, 18 minutes later, the tornado sirens go off throughout Marion County.
And then, after everything has died down, even the storm, even the rain, not just the wind, we come out and then the sirens go off, telling us to get to safety. And we all joked about it and laughed about it, oh, thanks for the warning.
RTV6 reporter Cameron Riddle was in Beech Grove when they went off at 8:05.
Okay, right there, we have tornado sirens.
You can even hear the outdoor sirens going off inside RTV6's studio downtown.
There's your storm. And I'm hearing
tornado sirens.
Yeah, I'm hearing tornado sirens in Marion County. As of this second, there is not a tornado warning.
All of the sirens in Marion County are managed and operated by IMPD's Homeland Security Bureau. They use a computer like this to set off the sirens. There's 4 across the county, 1 at the Emergency Operations Center, 1 at Police Dispatch, 1 at Fire Dispatch, and 1 at the airport. But it's under the authority of the Homeland Security Bureau to give the go-ahead to set the sirens off. IMPD tells us in a statement their Emergency Operations Center, known as an EOC, is usually the one responsible. But they say because the EOC does not operate 24 hours a day, it is also the responsibility of the Marion County Sheriff's Office dispatch to activate the sirens. At the time the tornado warning was issued, the responsibility to activate the sirens was that of MCSO dispatch.
We have more information about the tornado sirens here in Marion County and when exactly they're supposed to go off right now inside the RTV6 app and at theindychannel.com. In Beech Grove, Paris Lubell, RTV6.
Paris, thank you. We reached out to the Marion County Sheriff's Office for a comment, but we have yet to hear back.
This morning, community leaders on the far east side of Indianapolis are celebrating a bit of a milestone. Leaders say the area has gone 1 year without a homicide. The 10-Point Coalition and Indiana Attorney General's office call Monday's milestone a day of progress. Indianapolis and Lawrence leaders are praising 10-Point for the group's work to fight violence. Members say 10-Point gives people hope.
We've stepped up. The brothers and sisters that are in these vests, we have stepped up to the plate to feed our own communities.
That's right.
And to help our people in these communities because we give them hope.
Last summer, the 10-Point Coalition expanded its reach thanks to a $50,000 grant from the Indiana Attorney General's office.
The investigation into a deadly apartment fire in Elwood continues this morning. Authorities say the fire started in the victim's apartment at 1638 South B Street. Firefighters say when they arrived on scene, they learned someone may be inside and searched the apartment. A 59-year-old man was found inside the burning building and was pronounced dead at the scene. Fire officials say they are still working to determine what started that fire.
An Indiana man accused of catfishing a woman in Alaska, now indicted by a grand jury for murder after convincing her he'd pay millions for her to murder someone and send him photos. This morning, we're learning more about the arrest of 21-year-old Darren Shillmiller from New Salisbury. Police in Alaska say Shillmiller convinced 18-year-old Denali Brimmer, the woman he was having a relationship with online, to commit a murder. Court records say Brimmer enlisted friends by telling them they would receive substantial shares of money for their part of the planning and execution of the murder. Shillmiller was originally arrested and charged with production and receipt of child pornography when investigators found child porn on Brimmer's phone that she'd sent to him. He's now awaiting extradition to Alaska.
A new $3 million police headquarters is scheduled to open next year in Whitestown. The building will be on 6 acres of land at Veterans Drive, where the Whitestown Municipal Complex is located. Officials held a groundbreaking for the project on Monday. Right now, the police department operates out of a small wing inside the municipal complex. Chief Public Safety Officer Dennis Anderson says the new facility is desperately needed as the town and department grows.
We'll be hiring more officers as the years go forward. The council's already gave us the blessing for 4 additional new patrol officers next year, and our 5-year growth plan has us taking out at least 10 more additional officers over the next 10 years.
The building includes space for a detective division, a computer forensic lab, a training room and fitness facilities, a holding cell, and traffic court.
Hiring Hoosiers is our commitment to connect you to jobs, resources, and training. Officials in southern Indiana say PharmaCord will build a new operations and call center in Jeffersonville. The new facility will create 850 jobs by the end of 2023. The Indiana Economic Development Corporation says the Kentucky-based company will spend $52 million to create the new facility in Clark County. PharmaCord plans on hiring immediately for a number of positions, including customer service representatives and specialty nurses. A building collapse in Kentucky destroys thousands of bourbon barrels. Straight ahead, what investigators say caused the building to come crashing down. Plus, more troops are headed to the Middle East as tensions with Iran heat up. Up next, why the move comes on the heels of a major nuclear announcement. Todd.
Patchy fog, an issue here this morning across central Indiana on the Storm Team 6 alert day. Use some caution as you take to the roadways, not only for the fog, but also there are some heavy downpours out there right now. We'll show those to you coming up on Storm Team 6 radar in just a few minutes. The time now is 4:40. You're watching Good Morning Indiana right here on RTV 6.
Stars and Stripes event at Ashley Home Store.
Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. Time now is 4:43. Here's a look at I-65 at St. Clair Street. Now, this is in between the north and the south split. Traffic's moving along just fine right now. Stay tuned. I'll point out an interstate closure you're going to want to pay attention to coming up in the next few minutes.
Elena, thank you. A former superintendent of Gary Community Schools is set for a September 30th trial on charges she double-billed the cash-strapped district for expenses at a conference. Cheryl Pruitt was charged last October with theft and official misconduct for allegedly double-billing about $1,250 in luxury expenses at a 2016 Los Angeles conference. Pruitt was hired as Gary's schools chief in 2012. She resigned last year after an emergency manager took over the district as it faced more than $100 million in debt.
The U.S. will send 1,000 more troops to the Middle East as tensions with Iran continue to tick up. The acting defense secretary announced the deployment in a statement Monday. He reiterated the fact that the U.S. isn't looking for a conflict with Iran. He says the troops are being sent for defense purposes to protect U.S. interests in the area. The U.S. continues to blame Iran for the attack last week on 2 tankers in a key shipping area. Iran denies any involvement. Adding to escalating tensions, Tehran has announced it will no longer comply with a deal that keeps it from making nuclear weapons.
Investigators in Kentucky are trying to figure out why a portion of a bourbon storehouse collapsed, taking around 4,500 barrels with it. Officials say fortunately no one was injured, but you can see the mess the collapse caused at the O.Z. Tyler Distillery in Owensboro. Officials say it will take at least a month to clean up all of the debris, stabilize the remainder of the building, and remove all of that bourbon.
We're going to go ahead and put in some earthen dams probably to just in case something else happens. We've got some containment. That's the main thing. But no matter what we do, we'll just have to do it as safe as we can.
Oh, that dog is upset too, apparently. Well, company leaders say they believe the collapse was caused by strong storms in the area. The distillery is about 40 miles southeast of Evansville.
An intense heat wave in India is turning deadly. Officials say at least 70 people have died because of the heat since Saturday. Local leaders have set a curfew to prevent people from going outdoors. So far this year, 109 people have died from heat exposure. The heat wave is in its 30th day and is one of the longest in the country's history. Here at home, it is a Storm Team 6 alert day. More rain in the forecast, Todd.
Yeah, and our biggest concern here is flooding, not only today, but in the coming days. So we've had the flash flooding, right, when we get these heavy downpours and we get the immediate flooding on the roadways. But in the coming days, as we continue to get more and more rain, general river flooding is going to become an issue as well. So that's something to keep an eye on, especially as we live in some of those flood-prone and low-lying areas. So here's the heavy rainfall occurring right now. Parker City back into the Muncie area, Ball State, Indiana State Road 3, some very heavy rainfall towards Mount Pleasant as well. Then we slide off towards the Noblesville area, and this heavy downpour extends from the east side of Noblesville to just north of Lapel right now. Cicero, you are in the clear as far as the rainfall goes. And then to the north, we have this heavy downpour just south of Kokomo. So they're not very large, these downpours, because the rain is basically moving out of Rushville right now, but this is heading towards the bypass through the Kokomo area. And then as we slide down to the south, one little shower here near Pittsboro, and then we have some heavy rainfall down near North Vernon still, and this is an area that saw over 7 inches of rain in a 24-hour period of time throughout the day on Saturday and then into Sunday. So there's not a ton of rain out there this morning, but where it is raining, it is coming down heavy, and that's going to be the case later on today as well. Here's the flash flood watch for almost all of central Indiana, just not into the counties to the north. You haven't seen quite as much in the way of rainfall as others in the past few days, but you could see some localized flooding as some of these downpours move through. So it's just this very unsettled pattern. There's a lot of dry hours mixed in throughout the day today, just like yesterday, where we have mostly cloudy skies, very warm and very muggy conditions. But especially once we get into the peak heating of the day, we may not see the sunshine today, but the sun is out there behind the clouds, and that's going to lead to that daytime heating and these downpours to really start to flare up. So you see disturbance to our south, more showers off to the west, and it's just going to continue to be a very unsettled pattern in the coming days. So here we are throughout the morning hours on TreeCast, just a few hit or miss showers. As we work our way into the afternoon hours, we just build in these isolated downpours, not too concerned about the severe threat throughout the day today, and then we'll see the downpours kind of fade away as we go into the evening hours. So the best advice I can give you is if you do have outdoor plans today, certainly you're going to have to be weather aware as we will continue to deal with the potential potential of some heavy rain, but just know that there's a lot of dry hours. Again, today I was able to get in a nice run yesterday in those warm and muggy conditions before the rain moved in. 70 in Muncie, 68 in Indianapolis throughout the day today. Temperatures really not too much of an issue for us as we'll climb from the 60s up into the low 80s here for afternoon highs with the very, very muggy conditions. Now tomorrow, more of the same, more scattered showers, more scattered storms, high temperatures right around 80 degrees. Tomorrow, I think we'll hold off on some of the rain throughout the morning hours and then watch how it builds throughout the afternoon again in the peak heating of the day. And just like the past few days, tomorrow the better rain chances will be to the south compared to the north. So the further north you are, the better off you'll be. So your 7-day planning forecast hasn't changed a whole lot. Daily chances of rain, with the exception of maybe as we get into Friday and Saturday, maybe a little bit of a decrease. But notice the temperatures warming up and eventually seeing highs climbing into the mid-80s by the time we get to the weekend. Elena?
All right, thank you, Todd. Here's a look at I-465 at Sam Jones Expressway on that southwest side. You can see traffic's moving along just fine. Right now, those roads are dry, but as Todd mentioned, you are going to want to pay attention for later storms that we might have, as well as any ponding areas. Let's take a look at the map. We have that west side closure, northbound 65 between 465 and I-865. So to get around it, take 465 northbound to 865 westbound. That'll get you where you need to go. So this closure continues until July 1st. So if you're heading to Boone County, Chicago, you're going to want to pay attention and plan ahead. So let's take one last look at those roads. 465 at I-69. This time we're up on the northeast side. Everything's moving along just fine for your morning drive.
Elena, thank you. You're going to want to listen up if you have Lay's potato chips in your cabinet. We are working for you this morning with a recall alert. Lay's is recalling lightly salted barbecue flavored potato chips. The chips could have an undeclared milk allergen. The company says flavoring for another kind of chip which contains milk was mistakenly inserted into some of the bags of the lightly salted barbecue variety. The chips were sold in 7-ounce bags in 24 states. They have a guaranteed fresh date of August 27th.
How long do you think the world's longest necklace is? 4 feet, 5 feet? Oh, not even close. We'll fill you in after the break.
Plus, are these temporary lane markings on I-465 putting drivers at risk? Coming up at 5, the change INDOT officials are making after we take your concerns to them. But first...
I'm Vinny Politan. Today on Court TV, our continuing coverage of South Carolina versus Michael Colucci, a Southern murder mystery. A man accused in the death of his own wife. We'll continue the coverage of that case. We'll also have live reports from Florida in the next big trial here on Court TV. This involves a man accused of abducting and killing a nanny. That's all today on Court TV.
And don't forget, you can watch the all-new Court TV live on your mobile device by visiting CourtTV.com. Good Morning Indiana. We'll be right back.
Service from the Hogsett family.
This just looks like a large necklace, but what you're seeing is just a small part of the world's longest beaded necklace. It's the crown jewel of the Pennsylvania gift shop, All in all, it's nearly 6.5 miles long and made of over 1 million beads. The vast majority of the handmade marvel is stored on multiple spools. More than 4,000 people helped make it, and it's all to bring attention to the shop owner's philanthropic efforts.
We've been doing beading in hospitals and cancer centers for over 19 years now, and we just make smiles through our therapy.
Very cool. Well, she plans on donating the beads to cancer centers, schools, and other organizations that help make the necklace a reality.
Oh, that would not be one necklace I would want to clean up after, though, if it broke. If you've ever broken a beaded necklace, you know that pain. Well, for one little girl in Colorado, the sky is the limit. We know because she's already climbed halfway there. This is 10-year-old climber. This 10-year-old climber may be the youngest person ever to scale Yosemite's El Capitan. Selah Schneider conquered the 3,000-foot nose route with her dad, an experienced climber. El Capitan is considered one of the world's ultimate challenges for climbers. Selah says after they got back down, they celebrated with, of course, pizza. I don't blame her.
I don't either.
Yeah, I'd be hungry after that kind of hike, climb.
Very impressive.
So, very cool.
Not cool.
Not
the
cool.
weather.
Forecast. Yeah, it's warm, it's muggy out there, some patchy fog, also some heavy downpours this morning. You can see them here. Center your screen on Storm Team 6 radar with temperatures that are in the 60s and 70s. Our big concern today and really in the days ahead will continue to be some localized flooding. As far as highs today, we'll get up into the upper 70s to low 80s. Again, with the humidity around, it's going to feel even a little bit warmer than that.